In this video, as in the last one, I want to introduce no less than 3 prophecies that again speak about the same thing. Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, and the book of the Revelation chapter 17. In Daniel chapter 2, Daniel interprets a dream for the king of Babylon, in which 4 great world empires, arising one after the other, are represented in the materials that make up an image of a man that the king saw in his dream. In that image, Daniel foretells the succession of the empires that would come into being after that time. The Babylonian Empire, the Persian Empire, then the Grecian Empire, and then the Roman Empire. You might wonder how we should come to that conclusion about the empires. We come to that conclusion not only because this is how the 4 empires actually succeeded one another, but also because this vision is mirrored by the one in Daniel 7, and on that occasion the emblems and the nature of those 4 empires, represented this time by 4 animals rising out of the sea, are more clearly demonstrated. But look at what Daniel prophesies about the 4th world empire, Rome. He says, "Finally there will be a 4th kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything, and as iron breaks things to pieces, so it will crush and break all the others. Just as you saw the feet and toes were partly of baked clay and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some of the strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay. As the toes were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture, and will not remain united, any more than iron mixes with clay. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever." There was a time when the Roman Empire seemed invincible. No other empire was capable of defeating it. But Daniel, living hundreds of years before it even existed, had predicted that the Roman Empire would end in division. It would not be overcome and replaced by another world empire. Instead, it would fall apart and be fragmented as Daniel had predicted. Some early Christians were aware of this prophecy, and one, Irenaeus, living in the 2nd century when Rome was at the height of its power, wrote about it. He knew that the empire would in time disintegrate, and he knew this because of what he read in the book of Daniel. Rome certainly did end in division, but Daniel's prophecy doesn't end there. Before God sets up his own kingdom on earth, 10 kings or kingdoms that come out of the Roman Empire are predicted as well. And these kings or kingdoms are mentioned in the other 2 visions. In Daniel chapter 7, Daniel was particularly struck by the last of the 4 empires, the Roman Empire. We read, "After that in my vision at night I looked, and there before me was a 4th beast, terrifying and frightening and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims and trampled underfoot whatever was left. It was different from all the former beasts, and it had 10 horns. While I was thinking about the horns, there before me was another horn, a little one, which came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth that spoke boastfully." God sent Daniel the interpretation of this part of his vision. We read, "The 4th beast is a 4th kingdom that will appear on earth. It will be different from all the other kingdoms, and will devour the whole earth, trampling it down and crushing it. The 10 horns are 10 kings who will come from this kingdom. After them another king will arise, different from the earlier ones. He will subdue 3 kings. He will speak against the Most High and oppress his saints and try to change the set times and the laws. The saints will be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time. But the court will sit, and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be handed over to the saints, the people of the Most High. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all rulers will worship and obey him. I want you to notice that these 10 kings or kingdoms that Daniel foresees coming into being are clearly linked to the empire that came before it, because they are derived from that empire. They will come into being from the remains of the Roman Empire. The book of the Revelation chapter 17 gives us another piece of information about those 10 kings. In this last book of the Bible, we see echoes of Daniel's vision of Daniel chapter 7. We see an animal risen out of the sea, which again has 10 horns representing 10 kings. In the book of the Revelation, chapter 17, verses 12 to 13, we read, "The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings, who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They have one purpose, and will give their power and authority to the beast." Can you see the significance of these 10 kings? We've seen them prophesied now 3 times. They will come into being at the end of this age. But notice what these 2 verses predict. These 10 kings, arising from the remnants of the Roman Empire, will join in a confederation, as they give their power and authority to this one person, whom the book of the Revelation calls the beast. There was a time in the history of Europe when such a federation of nation-states would have seemed unthinkable. But since the Second World War, things have changed dramatically. We already have a European Union of sorts, even though at this time it lacks a strong leader to unify it. A federation of nation-states in Europe that seemed unthinkable only 60 years ago now is very possible, and the institutions necessary for its creation already exist. Opinion is divided in Europe between nations who are completely against a unified federal Europe and those who are completely for it. But consider this point. If a great leader were to arise in Europe today to unify it, would it be so difficult to find 10 of the European nations ready to join him? The necessary structures that might in future ensure a smooth transfer of the levers of power to him are being put into place as I speak.